Welcome to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast, where I empower you to develop sustainable habits, challenge society, and take messy action. I'm Christine, life balance coach and world champion ballroom dancer, and I believe that everyone has the power to create their very own life by design. The Recovering Perfectionist Podcast was created with a mission to encourage a life of abundance by finding peace and acceptance in our own imperfections and developing healthy self-love through sustainable habits and manifestation. It's time to align with the universe for the full human experience and redefine what it really means to be successful.
It's too good, the secret is out and wow.
Welcome back to the final episode of the Recovering Perfectionist Season 5. It is happening, finally. This episode, it's going to be so many things, you guys. It's going to be, first of all, this episode was supposed to happen weeks ago. In true Recovering Perfectionist form, it was extremely delayed. I had all my episodes out every week, as I do, with all my incredible guests. Go back and binge season 5. And this final episode that I always like to do at the end to wrap up, had a great idea, ready to do it, and trip after trip and work after work, and then, just not feeling well and not taking care of myself and all the things. And I was like, you know what? If this episode doesn't feel aligned to do right now, and if it's just I'm not finding the time, then I'm just not going to do it. And I'm going to put it out when it is going to feel good, because that's going to resonate more with my audience, and it's just going to make for a better episode overall. So here we are, finally feeling great. Just have so many things to talk about. So we're going to, and also just in true Recovering Perfectionist form, I am not using my wonderfully expensive blue microphone because my audio Audacity, something is not working and I have no idea how to fix it. So my levels are all off. And I've done this in the past where I've recorded an entire episode and my levels were so low you could barely hear it. So I had to redo it, which was painful. But so I'm just using like my regular Bose headphones that I use for my Zoom calls. But we're here and we're getting it done. And it's not even just about getting the episode done. It's that I just want to connect with you guys. I want to share what's been going on in my life, because it's been crazy amazing. And that is how we're going to segue into what we're going to talk about today is, did you know there are 2 different types of burnout? I don't think people barely understand what burnout is in today's world already. So to know that there are 2 different types is a whole nother conversation. But we're going to dig deep into that, because that is exactly what I focus on with my clients, what I focus on in my academy with Maggie and in Freedom Mindset Academy. And it's exactly what I am constantly trying to make sure that I see the red flags for in my own life, because I am prone to burning myself out or burning the candle at both ends, or whatever cliche you want to use, and not really understanding how to give myself those breaks ahead of time. So I obviously have caught on to those red flags. And over the past, 3-4 years, I've definitely implemented my tools and my resources that I use with my clients. But, as coaches, we need accountability in coaches as well. And so I definitely make calls with my coaches and therapists and make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and they're holding me accountable to taking breaks. And we are currently in a break right now. It is almost Christmas, and I've actually decided I'm going to put this episode out. The next Sunday is Christmas, exactly, on the 25th, and the Sunday after that is January 1st. So I'm going to put this out January 1st, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to start 2023 off with a bang by wrapping up season 5, which is hilarious, and I don't know when I'm going to start season 6, but I have lots of different plans. I have a couple of plans that I wanted for season 5 that didn't quite come to fruition, like these mini micro episodes that I have so many great ideas for, but I never got a chance to execute. And I'm currently looking for an assistant to help with all this content creation. If you're out there, please reach out. But in general, I just don't want to half-ass anything, and I don't want to just put things out just to put things out. But also, again, in keeping true to the title of this podcast, I'm trying to make sure that I put things out without feeling like they have to be to my level of perfection, because then it never gets out. Case in point, season 5, micro episodes. So I'm excited to dive into that in 2023. And maybe season 6 will be all micro episodes. Who freaking knows? However, we are wrapping up season 5 right now. I have incredible guests on this season. We just got so deep into so many different things that we've never talked about before on this podcast. And I'm so, so, so happy about it that we have these conversations recorded. So go back and binge season 5. Go back and binge seasons 1 through 4 because they're phenomenal as well. And I am just so proud of myself that in a couple of years, I've been able to successfully create 5 seasons of this podcast. And I'm just so excited for where it can go and how it can grow. And it's also extremely therapeutic for me. And I've said that so many times. So without continuing on this tangent, let's go back to the 2 types of burnout, shall we? So burnout, as we know it, is defined as a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. We're coming back to that word stress because that's going to be a huge part of what we talk about today. And it occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands, which a lot of those demands, as we know, we put on ourselves, right? Those requirements, those obligations. As the stress continues, you begin to lose the interest and motivation that led you to take on a certain role in the first place. Woo! That resonates. Burnout reduces productivity and saps your energy, leaving you feeling increasingly hopeless, helpless, cynical sometimes, resentful, and eventually you may feel like you have nothing more to give. The negative effects of burnout spill over into every area of your life. So that's why I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, because they think, well, I'm just going to work. I'm going to build this business. And if I'm burnt out, it's fine because I'm still keeping the ball rolling. But the problem is, because burnout spills over into every area of your life, you are your business and your business is you. So if you're burnt out, your business is going to look tired and exhausted and might feel cynical or resentful or whatever it may be. And burnout can also cause long-term changes to your body that make you vulnerable to illnesses like colds and flu. And so that's why a lot of people get sick. They run themselves ragged, they burn out, they, again, burn the candle on both ends, all the things. So as we discussed, as I said before at the beginning, there are 2 types of burnout. So what does that mean? Obviously, they talk about like the stages of burnout, things like that. And I don't know if I've done an episode on that. Maybe I should. But everyone has kind of their own stages. There's like some, Google, Wikipedia stages. But I came up with this concept of these 2 types of burnout because I've been experiencing the second kind recently. And some people would say, oh, that's not burnout. But it is. It's the same feeling, just on the opposite end of the spectrum. So here we go. The first type of burnout is the one that I just described, the one that you feel like you're overwhelmed, you're loss of direction, you feel stuck, and you're not quite sure how to move forward. You're overwhelmed, you're exhausted. Every step forward feels like a giant weight. And, it's kind of that concept of like, I need the car to get to the job, but I need the job to get the money, and I need the money to get the car, and I need the car to get to the job. It's like this circle. And that's just one example, but there's so many different examples of how you can feel burnt out in your life. And a lot of people, it's when they hit like a rock bottom, or maybe they have a good job and they're in that job, but they hate their job and they're just kind of, their life is Groundhog's Day every day. Or I think burnout for me feels like you've lost your power of choice. Like you are just, your schedule runs you, you're exhausted, you don't know how to change things, you don't even dream anymore because you're not motivated to dream. You're like, I'm not going to go on a vacation ever. That's not going to happen. Or I can't change my job, or I can't X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank here. And so there's this feeling of stuckness that happens. And that is the burnout. That's the most common form of burnout that everybody talks about, that Maggie and I help people in our academy, entrepreneurs specifically, because they usually come from a burnt out employee mindset, working for someone else. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I've changed my life. I've quit my job. I'm going to start my own business and I'm going to work my butt off and it's for me, so I don't care. And they end up working more hours on their business than they did when they were an employee for someone else. And then they get burnt out in their own business because they're now an employee and a slave to their own business, instead of understanding how to create systems and delegating and building from there, investing a lot at the beginning to, whether it be financially or time or whatever, to be able to create these sustainable systems that will help you get your time back. And a lot of people don't focus on how can I get my time back. They go, I'm going to give, all I have right now is time. So I'm just going to put all that in and I'm going to get burnt out. They don't obviously go into it saying I'm going to get burnt out, but that's what happens inevitably. Here's the second type of burnout. The second type of burnout for me is great things are happening. Everything's happening. All of my seeds that I've planted are all growing and all at the same time. And I'm completely overstimulated. And what a wonderful life. I have nothing to complain about, but there's only one of me. What do I do? And this is a very common form of burnout, I think, as well, but that is not often discussed, because technically when things are going well and everything is amazing and all these great things are happening to you, that's not what people think of as burnout. They think of burnout as a negative thing. All these terrible things are happening. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I'm unmotivated. I hate my job. I hate my life. I hate where I live. All these things. And I'm stuck and I'm burnt out. But you can be just the same feelings: overstimulated, overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, because you're needed everywhere. And there's so many great things happening and you want to be a part of everything, but there's only one of you. And that's a more positive, I would say, because people think of, that's in society is labeled more as like, oh my gosh, good things are happening to you. So that's a great thing. That's a great problem to have. And yes, obviously that's the more desirable burnout, but that doesn't mean that we can't, I don't want to downplay that, because, it's just as overwhelming and exhausting and overstimulating as feeling stuck and feeling like nothing's working in your life. So it's, I don't want to talk about it's like those, first world problems, like, oh no, this doesn't work. And it's like, really? Well, in some countries they don't have clean water to drink. And it's like, right. So you shouldn't be complaining about this. But at the same time, I feel like we're entering into this energetic, mental health conversation time in the world where everyone's problems or burnout or issues are valid. And it's not a comparison of my burnout is worse than your burnout, or my burnout's the good burnout and yours is the bad burnout. And it's not, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people's traumas or burnouts or whatever, because then we devalue our own. And that's when we keep pushing through and we're like, oh, we should be more positive. Good things are happening. Let's keep moving. We shouldn't be complaining. And then the same things happen with this type of burnout as they do with the other one. You don't sleep as much because you're needed in so many different places. You're overstimulated, so your brain is going a million miles an hour, so you can't get your brain to settle down. And then your immune system is compromised, and then you get sick. And then that leads to stress, and that leads to, stress is that silent killer. And that can happen on both sides of those burnout that burnout spectrum. So segueing into why I'm experiencing this burnout most recently in the last couple of months is because everything's been happening. Absolutely everything. So to catch you up, we've been during my husband's business is a digital media business, and our busy season is the end of summer into fall. And so I would say, let's see, August, let's say end of July, August, September, October, November, pure madness, just madness. And as of right now, this is the first, real full year of the business running. And it's growing faster than we can handle it, which is, again, a wonderful problem to have. But, we're trying to implement all these systems very quickly. We're trying to build out a team. We're trying to make sure that, protocols are followed and all these different things. And that requires us to attend all of the events at the moment. Eventually, the team will be running events without us. But our busy season, our faces need to be there. So we have been running around the West Coast, literally, California, Nevada, Arizona, all the places. It's been a whirlwind. It's been wonderful. It's been great to see all the success, all of our wonderful clients, which we love. And it's been incredible. Let's throw in the middle of that. We haven't had a home for about 8 months. We put all of our stuff in storage when we went to France, which I believe I discussed on the season 5 premiere of episode. And we talked about our amazing honeymoon and our time in France and how we're going to create this life over there and all this stuff. And so we put all of our stuff in storage in Orange County, where we had our house, and we went to France for 2 months. When we came back, we were kind of staying with my dad in Vegas, and we were trying to figure out where we wanted to be in the United States, which was very difficult because of the business. We bounced between 3 different states, so we have the option to live in either of those 3 states. But also, we were trying to figure out where we felt good. Right now, the United States is a very difficult place to live for many a reason. But again, first world problems. It's not when you compare it on the grander scale. But we had just come from living in Europe for 2 months, and it was peaceful, and the food was great, the weather was great, all the things. And I know it's not like that all year round weather-wise, but we were just really struggling to figure out where we fit in when we came back here. So we took some time. We were also living out of hotels a lot of the time because of these events. So we were just trying to figure out where to go. So already that's chaotic. You know what I mean? All good things happening, but everybody knows that living out of a suitcase is not ideal. And as cute as it is for a moment, we had already been living out of a suitcase for 2 months in Europe because we were staying with family and hotels and all that stuff. So then we come back here and we're doing that for another 6 months. We were like, oh my gosh, over this. And mind you, back in, full circle, April, May of 2023, we're back in Europe for 2 months. So it's eventually I wanted to just have a home, an office again, where we could just edit and record podcasts and take Zoom calls and do all the things. So there were a few things that happened in that time that kind of pulled us back towards Las Vegas. My husband started doing media for Formula One. Formula One is coming to Las Vegas, which is very exciting. And I have a client who I've been working with as well. It's a great home base. Our businesses are based here. My dad lives here. It's been a great time, to be here. We just didn't know if coming back to Vegas might feel like a step backwards for us. But then, with interest rates and inflation and gas prices and housing prices and all the things rising, California wasn't looking too sweet, let's be honest. So we were looking at San Diego, we were looking at Orange County again, we were looking at different places, and it just wasn't lining up. So we started looking around at some places and significantly realized that the significant price change in the housing market, that we could get a 3-bedroom house, with the 2-car garage for $100 less than what we were paying for a 1-bedroom apartment with street parking in Orange County. And that was a deal we were getting. So, our businesses are starting to grow and become very successful, and we're happy about that. And we're paying off some debt and we're investing in our future. But I don't want to like put it all into the, my living costs, because we don't really need these high-end living expenses. We're very, minimalist, and we don't really need all these crazy things. So we go to LA the end of October for an event, of course. Also, one of the biggest events we do of the year. It's like 5 days, 6 days with prep. It's insane. It's 12 to 14-hour days, very little sleep, work, very little breaks. Totally worth it. So much amazing brand development, client relationships, great sales. We had an amazing week, but holy crap, exhausting. And then we figured, well, we're right there next to Orange County. Let's just pop over there with a friend of ours who has a trailer and pack up all of our stuff in this trailer and move it back to Vegas. And that was going to be the most cost-effective way to do it, so we wouldn't have to waste money on gas and all these things. We were already there. So we did. We packed everything up in that 24 by 8 storage. So grateful for good friends. Keep your good friends close and treat them well and take care of them and take care of each other, because when you can call on people, we don't often call in favors, but when we do, our friends come running, and when they call in favors, we go running, and it is just a beautiful synergy, and we are so grateful to have the close-knit circle that we do. And he drove this giant trailer with all of our stuff in it to Vegas, and we followed in our car with all of our camera equipment from the event. We were exhausted. We slept in the next day, thank God. We started at 2 p.m. and 3 of our most amazing close friends met us at our new place and helped us unpack this trailer. And like I said, when I tell you all these incredible things, everything's falling into place, everything's wonderful, everything's happening. We have worked so hard to get to this point, but that does not take away the day-to-day strength and courage it takes to get through some of these tasks. I mean, unpacking an 8 by 24 trailer of heavy things. I mean, granted, yes, and we had the people helping us, our friends here, but when we were there, it was just the two of us and our friend that was driving the trailer, and we had just worked a full week of 14-hour days with very little sleep, so hungry, so tired. It was just like there weren't enough hours in the day, And so I think it's really important to, again, all of the tools that go into helping yourself out of burnout when you're stuck and not understanding where to go next are the same tools that we use at least that I use, when I'm in this crazy whirlwind, wonderful, everything's coming up roses all at once, burnout as well, so that I don't get so overwhelmed and burnt out. Like, I was trying to do things in spurts. So like, okay, this week we've got this crazy busy week, and then we're moving into our place, and then I'm going to rest. Like, I'm going to take 2 days, and I'm not going to do anything. And I'm not going to answer emails, and I'm not going to, try to do all these other things that are on my list, because my list is accumulating as I'm, working these events. And then a week later, I have to go dance with one of my students in Kansas City, which, again, another wonderful, wonderful thing I get to do. I get to spend time with my best friend. I get to see my mom. But there's just not enough of me to go around. Like, I would have loved to have a whole another week of me just like cruising, getting back into my work day to day, my morning routine at my house. I had barely even lived in my own house the first month. The first month I was barely even there. It was crazy. So it just goes to show that just as much as you can get burnt out and overwhelmed by all the obligations that we feel like we have, all of these tasks, all of these schedule, things that we've created, when I don't think we ever really prepare for when everything is blossoming at once. You know, like the winter may be dead and you're planting your seeds and you're working hard and you're hibernating. And then the spring comes and you've watered and you've worked hard and 5 or 6 of these things are happening at once. Do we plan for that? My manifestation coach says there's a reason that manifestations don't happen right away is because if the universe gave you everything that you wanted at the same time, you wouldn't be able to handle it. And I agree. And I think that sometimes, when you've got your hands in a lot of pots and you're doing a lot of things, a lot of those things can pop up at the same time. Or like my husband's business is doing well, and then my business needs some attention, and then we're moving because this felt like the right time, and we had to take advantage of the window. And, then my student wants to dance, so I'm going to jump over there because the competition's in December. And and there's a Formula One launch party, so I don't have my husband for 3 days because he's got to go do that, which is fine. Like all these amazing things that are happening, but it's like, whoa, can we just get a break for a minute? So here's what we're going to talk about coming into the new year. I'm going to also link in the show notes because I feel like every year redoing this episode, it's a good episode already. Let's just keep going with it. Is my resolutions versus intentions episode in season 1. It was a very, very popular episode of that season. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, jump into the show notes and click on that episode. For the first of the year, I highly recommend setting intentions for your year and not resolutions. Resolutions comes from a place of negativity and things you want to change about yourself. Because you already are from a place of I don't like this, versus intentions have action plans and sustainable systems that lead you to success, and they come from a place of I love who I am right now, but I'm going to improve, and it's a much higher success rate. And I think we tend to overlook that. So I won't go too deep into that. There's an entire episode on that if you're interested, and I highly recommend that you do. But all of these incredible things happening at once is extremely overwhelming. And so what I've been trying to do, finally we're getting a break now. Like literally it's the 22nd? Like 3 days till Christmas, and we're just now getting a break. It's crazy. But again, we love what we do and we're so excited. I think the biggest things that we want to focus on for the new year is, especially my husband and I, each other, because our relationship tends to be backseat when all of our businesses take a front seat. And we want to focus on cultivating, just the happy times and the enjoying the house, enjoying the things, and not just like feeling like it's just a space to create, but also like watching that movie, going on a walk, rollerblading, bike rides, date nights, all those fun things, We are finally going to a place that we've both had on our bucket list to do together. My husband's been, but I've never been. And I've had so many people tell me to go for so many years. And we're finally doing it. Thanks to some friends of ours who are getting married there. In January, we're going to the Dominican Republic. And we are so excited because we get to do this trip for us and have fun and celebrate love and celebrate our friends' love. And just, it's going to be beautiful. And so we're very, very excited about that. And we're trying to just cultivate healthy, sustainable habits that help us to feel grounded and present. Let's come back to that stress factor that we talked about earlier. Both burnouts have to do with stress. Whether you're stressed about feeling like your life is not doing well and you're going downhill and you're stuck and you don't know where to go and you don't have enough of anything that you want, or you're stressed because you feel like you need to clone yourself and all the good things are happening and you don't want to miss an opportunity and you have to be everywhere and do everything and there isn't enough time to sleep. Stress is stress. Your body reacts to it the same way. It is what I call a silent killer, and it is, for me, the current Like in the future, we're going to look back and be like, oh yeah, stress killed most people. Like heart disease, heart attacks. Stress creates cancers. It creates, terrible illness and disease in your body. And you're literally dis-ease. You're like, and it's terrible. And so I am realizing firsthand how, as I'm getting older as well, stress is affecting my body on a physical level, because being an athlete my whole life, I've been in high pressure situations my whole life, but I've channeled that stress, I guess, or that excitement and nervousness or whatever it may be into my sport and into my performance. And now that I'm not dancing as much, that stress is getting stuck. And it's not moving through my body and getting out. When I was dancing, it was getting out. And now it's getting stuck in my body, whether it's good stress or bad stress. I don't know if you have good stress. But if it's stress that comes from having too many good things in your life, like that good burnout we were talking about. But, and I don't want to coin that as a term. It's not good burnout and bad burnout. Burnout is burnout, and none of it is good. But we just have to be aware of the warning signs. And so making sure that you're doing check-ins all the time. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a solid morning routine and a solid evening routine. That was something I neglected early on in my personal development. Was I had a good morning routine and I had a terrible evening routine. And that meant I would not remove myself from my devices, my technology, at least an hour or two before going to sleep. I was on them from right before I closed my eyes. I would eat, so my body would be, digesting, and I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wouldn't be getting my mind ready to sleep. So it would take me 30 to 45 minutes just to fall asleep, because my brain was constantly working on what needed to be done, or I was still thinking about that project I was finishing up, or whatever it may be. And so a healthy morning and evening routine. Really always making lists about things that maybe need to get done. Prioritize your lists. I always put things at the top that are time sensitive, things in the middle. I separate them so that I can visually see what I need to do. And that always makes me feel better, because usually in my head, it's a lot more. My biggest thing as well is focusing on, nutrition and healthy relationship with food. I do not have a healthy relationship with food. I'm still working on that. I'm actually getting some coaching right now because of it, in the sense of I just don't have time to eat. And I'm hungry a lot and I get headaches, but I will skip meals because I'm in the middle of something, or I'm running from one appointment to the next. Or I will wake up for an appointment on Zoom and then I won't eat until I'm like an hour and a half into the day. And the concept of meal prepping or having something available or whatever, what have you, is what I'm going to be working on with my coach. She's actually a gut health coach. And I'm so excited to start working with her, and I will definitely probably have her on my podcast. Well, again, she's already been on my podcast. Maybe we should do like a whole episode of like my journey with her, because I think that would be really cool to share. So we continued on that, because I definitely want to share that experience with you. I'm very excited to work with her. But I think the biggest factor is stress. I'm realizing that stress is affecting so much of my body, the 5-year plan, getting ready for kids, building another life, in the south of France, all these different things. It's like feeling like, am I ready for this? Am I, all that stuff. So anyway, all that aside, really enjoy what the new year brings. The new year brings this energy that is inspiring, motivating, exhilarating, limitless. And I think that we hold on to that for like a month, and then we just jump right into the year, back into our old things. Do yourself a favor and really try to create positive, healthy habits that will stick throughout the year. And there isn't an easy solution for that. If I'm being completely honest, that's why Maggie and I teach these things. We teach how to build sustainable systems and habits. We teach how to create self-love and self-worth within yourself. We teach how to cut out those limiting belief systems once you start to lose motivation and momentum. We teach you to overcome your perfectionism so you can get out of your own way, all these different things. So if you are interested in doing, really committing to your dreams and your goals, and a new year is bringing on this kind of energy, I also have in the show notes the link to apply for our online academy, which is called Freedom Mindset Academy. It's a 12-week, 4-month container. So 12-week curriculum, 4-month container, 2 calls a week, group coaching, and then 2 private calls throughout the course. And it is so transformative. I cannot even tell you. We have accountability, we have intention, we have sustainability, we have all the things that you need in order for you to really make life changes. So if you're interested, no time like the present. Don't you want to say in 2024 in January, wow, look what I did in a year. Look what I did. I said yes to myself. And let's use this year to remember to say yes to ourselves, because we cannot pour from an empty glass. And I think the most important thing we need to keep learning year after year is to make sure we're filling our own cup. So I'm going to leave you with that. How are you filling your cup? Whatever that looks like, whatever makes you happy, whatever fills your cup, and make sure that you're doing more of that this year. And I wish you a wonderful, glorious, fearless, limitless 2023. And I look forward to sharing more of my journey with you this year. And I love you all so, so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. I'm Christine, and if this episode resonated with you or spoke to you in any way, please feel free to share. I absolutely love hearing from you guys and your thoughts about the topics based on your experiences. And also, if there's anything you want me to talk about, just screenshot this episode and share it on social media with your comments. Your feedback really helps me to curate episodes that best serve you. If you have time, I would greatly appreciate if you could leave a review wherever you're listening to this episode, whether on Apple or Spotify or any other platform. I'm wishing you a blessed week ahead, and remember, perfection doesn't exist. Take messy action. Healthy habits keep us balanced, and you are enough.